Lewis, founder of Simply Serenity brand, a lifestyle brand that focuses on helping you reach your goals and all of your God-given potential. So today I'm doing a video that has been highly requested. People have been asking me to do something like this for a long time. So I'm finally getting around to be able to record it. So it's around midterms time, and a lot of people have been asking me to give some study tips and some study advice just to prepare for this time of the semester. This is going to be a super long video, but I'm super excited to make it. I broke this video up into like 3 different parts. So the first part has to do with like just your classroom experience in general before it's even exam time. The second part is planning for your studying session. So like, what do you need to study? How do you plan for it? How do you study in advance? And then the last part is going to be specific study techniques. So let's get started. The first thing we need to start thinking about is how are we, approaching our classes. And this goes not just during midterm times, but like any time before and after that. So the first thing that you need to remember is don't miss class. The first advice I always give is just go to class, just go. Because by going there, like, you're already 10 times ahead of the students that just don't show up. Because the teacher knows your face, the teacher knows that you're attending, he or she knows that you're trying to put forth some effort. So by just showing up to class, like, it makes your life a lot easier. The second thing that I would advise just any student to do is to get in the habit of like talking to your professor. So try to establish a relationship with them, even if that's just like speaking to them when they walk in the classroom or like when they hand you a test saying thank you. Just make yourself known to your professors, because I've had professors in the past who I can tell you, like, the difference between an A or a B in that class really, I think, has a lot to do with the relationship that I've established with them. Go to their office hours and just stop by and speak, ask questions in class, participate. The third thing I would advise you to do is to take notes during the semester. So this is something that I've had to learn since I've been in college. It can be easy just to come to class and just sit there and play on your phone or like act like you're taking notes on your laptop and not. Sometimes I've been in classes where like I really wasn't paying attention all semester, and then when it came time for midterms or finals, I had to teach myself everything because I wasn't paying attention during class time. So, even if you try to make an effort to, be more attentive during at least like 1 or 2 classes a week, like that could be a big difference, because that's just 1 or 2 lessons a week that you don't have to teach yourself. So that's something that I had to kind of learn, because in college it can be very easy to get distracted in the classroom. So just make sure that you're being attentive and paying attention and everything like that. So the fourth tip is to go to tutoring. So I know a lot of schools offer some sort of tutoring service. I know my university does for classes like chemistry, calculus, English, history, things like that. So if your school offers a tutoring service, definitely take advantage of that, because more than likely it's free to you to use as a student. If you don't have a tutoring service, or if the tutoring service doesn't offer a class that you need help in, reach out to people who have taken the class before and see if they can help you figure out how to study for the class. I've even had students who have had professors' old tests, or who knew exactly how professors did their test, and so that has helped me a lot. So just get in contact with people who are either familiar with the material or who have taken the class before, because that can be a lot of help. And the last thing is, don't wait till the last minute to study. I know this is hard, easier said than done, but like, studying ahead of time just makes all the difference. Like, cramming for tests is just not the way, like, it's not how we're gonna do things. It's so much more difficult. So I wanted to put this video out earlier because I wanted to give you all a chance to kind of show you how to prepare early for tests and how to execute that plan properly, so that when it comes time your test, you're fully prepared and you're not cramming until the last minute. So a study plan is really meant to map out what you're going to study each day, and also gives you time to review everything that you studied before the test. The first thing that you need to do to create a study plan is figure out what you need to study. A lot of times that's going to be on the syllabus that your professor gives you at the beginning of the semester. Sometimes it will just be what your professor tells you a few weeks ahead of time. For example, for my organic chemistry class I'm taking right now, my professor has already sent us out what objectives that we're gonna need to know for his exam. So I already know exactly what sections of my textbook that I need to cover and completely understand in order to do well on his test. So once you've gathered and written down every single thing that you need to know for your test, the second thing to do is to break it up. So a popular quote that I really love is, "How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time." So In order to create a successful study plan, it's really helpful to break each of those topics or each of those sections up and cover just a few sections or one section each day leading up to the exam. So a helpful formula that I kind of use, so I'll take the number of days until my exam, I'll subtract one day as a review day, and the remaining days left, I'll divide the sections that I have for my test, or the sections that I have to cover, by how many days I have to study. So that way, whenever I'm studying, I will have, so many days of studying the same amount of material, or focusing on material that needs the same amount of energy, and then I'll have one day to have like a comprehensive review of everything. That way for my review day, I won't be stressed out like the day before my exam, and I can really focus on getting those last minute bits and pieces of information. But once I figure out what I need to study each day, then I'll get a calendar or create a calendar or a spreadsheet like the one that you see here. And put in each day what I need to study, and that's my study plan. So for Monday, I will have, for example, 3 sections specifically to focus on for Monday. Tuesday, I might have 4 sections because I have a few different more classes. Wednesday, I might only have 2 because I may have finished up on my test. So you have to be disciplined enough to stick to your study plan as closely as possible. If that means like cutting out distractions, then do it. If that means like not hang out with your friends for a few hours, then do it. Once your exams are done, you can do whatever you want, but just in that week or 2 before exams, you have to just, be disciplined and be strict with yourself about getting done what you need to get done. Sometimes it can be hard to stick to plans because we think that we can accomplish this much this day, but we ended up spending too much time on one thing. So it's really important to be flexible. So if you find that your study plan isn't working, or if that you pack too much into a day, be flexible with yourself and give yourself some grace to understand that like it's not going to be perfect, especially if you're new to studying ahead of time, or especially like if you've just gotten to college and you don't know how to study. You have to be flexible with yourself and understanding that it's a learning process along the way. So the next section of this video is going to cover specific study tips, and this is going to vary from class to class. If you would like for me to do more videos on specific study techniques that I've used in the past, comment below and I'd be more than glad to do those. But I'm just going to kind of overview some big topics of what to study. You need to know your learning type. So there's 3 different learning types that a lot of people focus on: visual, audio, and kinesthetic. Visual learners need to see things in order for them to make sense in their mind. Audio learners need to hear things over and over again in order for them to remember it. Kinesthetic or tactile learners need to do things or feel things or walk them out in order to fully comprehend them. So if you don't know your learning style, I would suggest that you go and find a quiz. So I can link some quizzes on learning styles at the bottom so you can figure out which one yours is. Websites that will give you specific study techniques for your learning style. So I'm visual and kinesthetic, so I don't really know good learning techniques for auditory learners. So it really be good to like look up what your learning style is and find things that are tailored for you. So the first thing is to understand what class you're in and what study technique is needed for that specific class. So for example, you might have to memorize information. So for classes like biology, history, and maybe some of your English classes where you have to memorize certain definitions and certain dates or certain concepts, that's a whole separate study technique than for classes like math or other sciences, where you have to understand concepts and understand steps and sequences. So for example, for my biology class, it requires a lot of memorization of lab techniques, of vocabulary words, of structures of cells. So the way that I study for that class is very different from how I study from chemistry, where I have to understand how to do this equation or how to apply this formula. The best tip that I can give you for classes where you have to memorize information is repetition. You can create physical note cards, or you could create note cards on your phone through Quizlet, where you can review the information anytime, any place. So Quizlet is an awesome platform for repetition, for creating these digital note cards. Another thing I suggest is to write it out constantly. So if you're a kinesthetic learner, writing things out constantly and writing lines like you did in middle school, like that could help too, because you're repeating it in your head over and over, or you're repeating the concept over and over. And reviewing it is just so important, because when you get on the test, it's really about what you can recall. So for classes more like chemistry or math, where it's a concept-based class rather than a memorization class. So for example, where you have a lot of short answer responses. Or concept classes are great for mind mapping. This is my favorite way to study. It has helped me so much, especially since I'm a visual and kinesthetic learner, which means I have to see things and I have to do things to really understand them. You can either do it on a Word document or you can write it by hand, but really you have to write out each step of the process and show how it's linked. For example, if you are studying photosynthesis for your biology class, draw the chloroplast and then show each step of photosynthesis and explain under each step what is required for photosystem 1 and then for photosystem 2. For math classes, I think the best thing to do is to find practice problems. Math is one of those subjects where no matter where you are, you still solve an equation the same way. There's a lot of practice problems available online for no matter where you go or who your professor is. Math is one of those subjects that's pretty constant across the board, so it's pretty easy to find like really good practice problems for it. Now I'm going to kind of go into my study routine specifically and how I go through it. It's really good whenever you start your study session to have all of the supplies that you'll need in front of you. So your paper, your textbook, your notes, your highlighters, all of that stuff, all in front of you. If you haven't already read your textbooks before your class, you're already behind. So always read your textbooks ahead of time. Go through all of your slides and just look through everything and pick out the information that's most important. So like I said, a lot of teachers will tell you specifically what you need to learn. And if they do, that's great because then you can go in and pull out the information that you specifically need for that class. Some teachers don't, but a lot of them will. You have a teacher that doesn't give you specifics and they're just like, learn everything, or you're not good at picking out the most important information. One thing I would suggest is to go online and find outlines for the textbook that you use or different PowerPoints from other classes, because a lot of times that will have the most important information combined in one consolidated place so that you know exactly what to focus on and you're not focusing on remembering every single detail, you're just focused on the most important things. Somebody probably has found what's most important, so you don't have to waste time doing that. So that way you can just really focus on learning the most important things rather than spending all of the time figuring out what it is you need to know. After I kind of go through and highlight exactly what I need to know, then I go back to what I said about understanding like how the test is, so memorization versus concept learning, and then I start doing my studying for then. So I'll start making my flashcards, or I'll start making my mind map sheets, or I'll start typing up some notes or drawing pictures or whatever it is that I use. But really the goal here is to get all of the information in a condensed form. So for example, if I have to learn 3 chapters of chemistry, what I aim to do is to create 3 study sheets, just 1 sheet per chapter, so that I can just have all of the information in front of me, so that when it comes time for me to review, I know exactly what I need to review and I can just refer to that rather than going back to textbooks or PowerPoints or anything like that. So the last thing, some other tips just to get you through midterms week, because I know it can be super stressful. The first thing is to get some rest. Our bodies cannot function if we have not gotten rest. So just take some time, go to bed early, reduce your screen time when it's around bedtime. Just try to make an effort to get some rest around exam time. I know it's unrealistic sometimes, but just try to get between 7 and 8 hours of sleep. The second thing is to eat healthy. Again, we have to nourish our bodies. The more we nourish our bodies, the more we nourish our brain. So when I study, I like to bring healthy snacks along with me, like granola bars, fruit, smoothies, things like that. Just simple things that can give my body the energy. And if you want me to do more videos on like what I eat in a day, healthy meal routines or anything like that, just let me know in the comments below. Whole grain is a great way to give your body energy. Those complex carbohydrates are meant to give us a sustained amount of energy. The third thing is to celebrate your small wins. If you have gone from a C to a B in a class, that's amazing. Like, celebrate those things. Finals can be stressful, and so it's important that we just celebrate the small wins that we experience. And lastly, have a growth mindset. I know a lot of people go into studying thinking that I'm never gonna learn this, and the teacher doesn't teach it right, and I can't learn this stuff, but have a growth mindset. And what that means is to go into something with a positive belief that you can achieve anything. So change statements like, I can't learn this, to things like, I don't know this now, but I will. I said, those small incremental things, they may sound silly at first, but they really will help you into changing your mindset, just not only to reach your academic goals, but just in life. So I hope this is helpful. I know this was a lot of information, so like I said, if you want me to do more specific study videos, just let me know in the comments below, or any video suggestions that you have. Also, as a part of this video, I have attached a link to the worksheets that I've used to create my own study plan and to help me to stay accountable to it. So you can visit simplyserenity.com or click on the link in the description box below. But that's going to have all of the worksheets that I use in this video for you to be able to use for free. So I hope this video was helpful. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.